Good afternoon, one and all. We are gathered here for a panel discussion on Mental Health Care Act 2017, challenges in implementation and way forwarded by Dr. M. Umashankar, Dr. M. Malayappan, and Dr. K.P. Jayaprakash. We request Dr. H. Chandrasekhar to moderate the session. Chairperson of the session will be Dr. V.D. Krishnaram. We welcome you, sir. Dr. H. Chandrasekhar, moderator, head of Professor of Psychiatry, Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute, member secretary, Karnataka State Mental Health Authority. He had major role in drafting Karnataka State Mental Health Rules 2012. He has 15 publications and several awards. Successfully rehabilitated 1,300 women, commercial sex workers addicted to alcohol and drugs. We welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon to everybody. This is an important session on Mental Health Care Act. And we have 4 experts here to teach us, to share their views on this Mental Health Care Act. And when I was doing DPM, Indian Lunacy Act, 1912, so 74. So the favorite examiners used to ask, what is Indian Lunacy Act? What are the admission procedures? And that's all. Then came Mental Health Bill in 87. Now we have this Mental Health Care Act, MHCA, and a lot of changes have taken place. And this act emphasizes on the rights of the individual. Just because he is abnormal, his mind is not working, he should not be degraded, he should not be disrespected, he should be given respect in the society, and whatever rights other individual has should be given to these individuals. This is the most important aspect of this act. And second one is suicide. That was in other acts was a punishable act. This was decriminalized in this act. IPC 309 was removed, and attempted suicide or suicide is not a punishable crime. So today we have Dr. H. Chandrasekhar, who is going to moderate, and he's a very senior, he's an authority on this mental health. He's head of Professor of Psychiatry, Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute, member secretary, Karnataka State Mental Health Authority, and he has been contributing nearly for 15 years on this aspect. And it's interesting to note that he had major role in drafting Karnataka State Mental Health Rules in right from some 10 years ago, 2012. He has 15 publications and several awards. And you will be happy to know that he successfully rehabilitated 1,300 women commercial sex workers addicted to alcohol and drugs. And the panelists are Dr. Malayappan, who is sitting by my side, is a close friend of mine, and is Professor of Psychiatry, Kilpauk Medical College, Chennai. He has 23 years of teaching experience in psychiatry. Very simple person and always helping tendency, and he is again another authority on this aspect, Mental Health Care Act. He is the Chief Executive Officer in charge of the State Mental Health Authority, Tamil Nadu. And he has been guiding to all Tamil Nadu psychiatrists on the issues involved in this. Now, the other panelist is Dr. Umashankar. He is Professor of Psychiatry and HOD, Gandhi Medical College. is consultant psychiatrist at Remedy Multi-Specialty Hospital, Hyderabad, Telangana. And besides, he is medical superintendent to Institute of Mental Health, Hyderabad since 2016. Member secretary to State Mental Health Authority, TSCEO, State Mental Health Authority, Telangana State. The other speaker is Jayaprakash. He is yet to come. He is also he is from Kerala State Mental Health Authority, and he has done a lot of works on this. He is conducting telepsychiatric clinics for remote areas, and he is a very has vast experience in this field. He will be joining us. And now, with these few words of introduction, I hand over the mic to moderator who will be conducting this program, and I will be just a listener. To Dr. Chandra sir, please. Okay.
So good afternoon. At the outset, I thank the organizers, Dr. Ramkrishna, Dr. Arun and the team for such nice hospitality and very good academic programs. And thank you, Sir Ramshar, for nice introduction. So our plan today is, as a coordinator, I am going to give a small introduction about provisions of Mental Health Care Act and also what are steps taken in Karnataka State. And later followed by all the other speakers, Dr. Maliyappan, Dr. Umashankar and Jayaprakash, all of them will update about the challenges and what has happened in their respective states, because all of them are in the main position as chief executive officers as per the Mental Health Care Act 2017. So can I have my presentation? Yes, sir. PPT. Yeah, thank you. So I'll briefly introduce regarding provisions of Mental Health Care Act. So Mental Health Care Act replaced Mental Health Act of 1987. It's a new act. It has 16 chapters, 126 sections. And I want to highlight the next 2 points because there is a full chapter on rights of persons with mental illness. As our chairperson said, this act is all about mentally ill persons. Rights has to be protected. And then many new sections, advance directive, nominated representative, mental illness, capacity assessment, rights of person with mental illness, duties of government. So many chapters are there. So I just want to talk about statement of objects and reasons, because any act we have to implement, we should interpret the provisions based on the objects and reasons. Of course, all of you know it's based on UNCRPD, United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And third point I want to highlight here, that is, this statement of objects and reason recognizes that mentally ill are vulnerable and families bear hardships and burden. That means this whole of the act, most important stakeholder is the mentally ill person and the families. Of course, psychiatrists being main caregivers, we are also important caregivers. And then person with mental illness to be treated, environment should be made as conducive as possible, protect and promote the rights of person with mental illness, and last point is integrate mental health to primary care. So the real act, I just want to highlight on first 2 points. Objectives of that to provide for mental health care and services. That means services means this act particularly talks about government as role to provide services. If it's a duty of the government to provide services. Second is to protect, promote and fulfill the rights of such person during delivery of mental health care and services. So, to summarize, it says this act basically works with person with mental illness as the center of the act around which all the provisions revolve. So, I just want to highlight, I just made a list of 16 chapters. In this page, we have 8 chapters. So, chapter 1 preliminary, chapter 2 definition and other things, and mental illness and capacity to make mental health care and treatment. That means that is regarding capacity of the mental ill person. Chapter 3 advanced directive, chapter 4 nominated representative, chapter 5 rights of. So, all first 8 chapters talks about care of the mental ill, and that itself shows that this act basically talks about mental ill person and his interests. So, as you can see, other 8 chapters, chapter 10, 11, as you can see, mental health establishment required to be registered, mental health review boards are there, admission, treatment and discharge, all this again sort of, important for the other stakeholders. And this is a list of publications by Government of India for implementation of the act. So, previous act we had only one publication, State Mental Health Rules. This has almost right now 5 publications. The first one is Central Mental Authority and Mental Health Review Board Rules 2018, Mental Health Care State Mental Authority Rules 2018, the Mental Health Care Rights of Persons with Mental Illness Rules 2018, again one capacity assessment guidance document as per section 81 of the mental, that has also been published by Government of India. And then recently, that is during December 2020, first regulation, mental health care central mental authority regulations have been published. So with this I just want to briefly highlight what has happened in Karnataka state. So, as per Government Order HFW 44 CG started in 2018, State Mental Authority is established completely with official, non-official members. It was quite a challenge. Official members was quite easy. ACS, Health and Family Welfare Commissioner, all those Professor and HOD Psychiatry. In Karnataka, we have Nimmans, Director Nimmans as the member, Director Nimmans Dharwad also member, and so many other bureaucrats are there. And then non-official members, we have 11 members, which includes eminent psychiatrist. The second one is Dr. Narayan Prakash, who is a Ayush MD. Then social worker, psychologist, then nurse, and we have also representatives of the patients, 2 representatives of the patients, 2 representatives of the families, and 2 representatives of the NGOs. So just highlight, these are all the functions of the authority: registering all mental health establishment, publish a register of such establishments, develop quality and service provision norms for different types of mental health establishments, supervising mental health establishments, register all mental health professionals and publish the list, train law enforcement. These are all the functions of the state mental authority. So, updating regarding what has happened in Karnataka, Office of the State Mental Authority is functioning under Commissioner HFW as the Chief Executive Officer. And Office of the Karnataka State Mental Authority currently is functioning with the Directorate of Health Services. So in Karnataka, Bangalore, a new building has come. This is the fallacious building with 7 floors. So Mental Health Authority is right now in the office in the 4th floor, and for me as the medical advisor and member secretary, I got one auditor, one room in the 7th floor. So this is the structure of the State Mental Health Authority office. I am the medical advisor. It goes with the designation Professor and HOD, Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute. We have a legal advisor who is a retired judge. Right now it is vacant. We have a AAO, Assistant Administrative Officer, who is a permanent government servant. We have a First Division Assistant, who is again a permanent OD from HFW department. And other 4 are Program Coordinator, IT Programmer, Data Entry Operator. They are all on contract basis. So other activities I just want to list out. Karnataka, we have made state mental health rules 2018 we submitted to the government of India, which has been approved, and it is going to be notified in another 1 week. And we made a SOP, standard operating procedures, or how mental health review boards should function, and we have notified also. And we have also made standard operative procedure for conducting meetings of the state mental authority, which is going to become regulations. And most importantly, we have been doing lot of awareness programs. We call it as Manochintana at primary channel of the All India Radio. Almost 400 programs since 4 years you have completed, and this is how the poster goes. And we have been doing lot of mental health awareness through branding of trains, then digital display, TV screen and train reservation counters, audio advertisements and bus stands, all these things we have been doing. And most important development in Karnataka is mental health management system. That is a statewide digital registry of mental health establishment, mental health professionals and person with mental health treatment. So under that, it's a cloud-based application has been developed, and registration should be made through MHMS. So all the activities of the mental health authority are being done through this MHMS, and it's a e-portal for implementation of online registration of mental health establishment and mental health professionals. It was inaugurated by Honorable Chief Secretary as early as 26/6/20, and we have started registration of mental health professionals and mental health establishments through online. So these are all the other activities which happens through that eManas website. Registration of mental health establishment, registration of mental health professionals, and SMHA portal to approve and register MHE and MHPs, mental health review boards. Availability of basic medical record will be loaded into this website, and it is accessible through OTP whenever a patient go to another psychiatrist. And availability of basic medical record for inpatients, registration of advance directive, that also will be done through this MHMS. So this is the steps to register in the registration portal. And I just want to highlight that we have started the registration of mental health establishment. Till the period authority specifies minimum standard for different categories of mental health establishment, it shall issue a provisional certificate of registration to the mental health establishment. And we have formed a committee under the chairmanship of Director Nimmans to specify the minimum standard for different category of mental health establishments. So this is the list of registered mental health establishment through mental authority. So right now it is about 49, but previously deputy commissioner or district collectors were the registering authorities. They have in addition have 150 mental health establishments. And mental health professionals, so we have started registering the mental health professionals also. So totally 177. We have even included psychiatrist in this list. So totally 177 people have registered till date. And MHRB, mental health review boards, as the rule says, at least we should have one mental health review board in minimum of 3 districts. So our authority took a decision to start with 5 mental health review boards in all the 4 revenue divisions plus 1 extra in Bangalore urban. So we have decided about where it will be situated, which districts are covered, and the next step we are going to have another remaining mental health review boards. And these are the advertisements we had put up in the newspaper regarding appointment of chairpersons of mental health review boards. We have received the application. The process of appointing the mental health review boards is on. So one more thing I just want to highlight regarding Karnataka is most of the motivation or the willing to implement that comes through this writ petitions which are registered in the Honorable High Court of Karnataka as well as Supreme Court of India. So these hearings make us believe implement the act. So I just want to highlight what are the challenges. As a member secretary, as a medical advisor, these are the challenges which I faced. That include, most important thing is, while implementing, understanding each provision is going to be very difficult. That is what the first challenge. And second thing is bureaucratic and political will. See, without bureaucratic and political will, it cannot go forward. So I would say most important stakeholders are the patients and the families. They should push. Then only the implementation process will get doubled up. And getting qualified person for the office and the mental health review boards is another challenge. Manpower is another challenge, because we don't have required number of clinical psychologists, psychiatric social workers and other people. Funding, almost we require 75 lakhs per mental health review board. To get the funding would be really big challenge, and with each provision being implemented, we have to get legal inputs, so we require a legal experts who are well versed with the Mental Health Care Act. So ultimately my conclusion is the knowledge of law is required with the current clinical practice. Mental Health Care Act works with person with mental illness as the center of the act. Registration is mandatory, and ignorance of law is not an excuse. We join hands to realize the spirit of the act. And to our postgraduates, we should not take it very seriously. You be a good clinician, respect patient autonomy, follow the laws of RAND, and consult a lawyer if you have a legal question. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Dr. Uma Shankar to update regarding what is happening in the Telangana state.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for organizers giving this opportunity to share my views about the Mental Health Care Act 2017, challenges in implementation. As we discussed along with Dr. Chandrasekhar sir and JP sir and Muralidharan sir, each one of we chosen one topic. I chosen one state mental health authority, how it is functioning, and what are the challenges, what are the problems we can encounter, as well as what are the progress in Telangana state. I am going to present it. First slide. Next. Okay. Sorry. This is the Act, Mental Health Care Act. It Act provides mental health care and services per person with mental illness to protect, promote, fulfill the rights of such persons during delivery of mental health care and services, and for matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. This is, as per this definition, we are going to protect the rights of the mental ill. That is very important compared to previous acts. Here there is more of patient based act. This is received assent on 7th April 2017. After 9 months to start implementation. That is mandatory for all the states in the country. State Mental Health Authority, usually it is constituted as per the government India norms. So every state should have a secretary or principal secretary of this. He will be the chairperson of that, and also joint secretary of health department. He will also one of the ex officio member, and director of health or director of medical education will be the one of the ex officio members, and joint secretary of other departments of secretariat like social welfare, home department, finance department, they will be the ex officio members. And also along with that, if anybody is required also, the state government, they may include ministries or department as ex officio members. And along with that, head of the department of any medical college, psychiatric department of the medical college, or the medical superintendent of the hospital will be the member. And one eminent psychiatrist. Previously, these are the ex officio members. Rest of the things are non-ex officio members. They will be included by the government through due process. This is one psychiatrist, one mental health professionals. One mental health professionals may be from Ayush, Ayurveda, Siddha or Homeo. Those qualified as given by the rules and regulations given by the central government. And one psychiatrist, psychiatric social worker, and one clinical psychologist, one mental health nurse. These are minimum experience, 15 years, as well as they have to register with the state authority. And 2 persons representing with the patients with mental illness, or they are nominated by the group of the persons. And 2 persons representing the caregivers, or the organization representing the caregivers. 2 persons representing non-governmental organizations, those who are dealing with the mentally ill persons. And all these from E to N, that what I told, no, that is E to N, that is will be nominated by the state government with proper procedure. Like they have to give the notification to the wide publicity, especially in 2 papers, one in local language, one in English paper. They have to give wide publicity, and as well as they have to keep in a website of health department. The members of the state authority, E to N of subsection, shall be hold office for 3 years. These non-official members, they hold office for 3 years, and also they should not cross the age 70 years. That is also important. If anybody is less than 70 years, if eligibility is there, they can be reappointed also. And other ex officio members will be there in the office as long as they are holding that post. And the CEO of the state mental authority, he is the legal representative of the state, and he has to look after the day-to-day administrative activities and implementation of all the activities of the state authority. And also he, regarding the revenue, everything he has to look after. And also he is responsible for the reports, general reports, and also submit the reports in a yearly, and also he chart out the programs, and also budget also he has to submit to the every year. And he got the administrative control all over the offices and employees of the SMH. The state authority will functions, mainly they have to register all the mental health establishment in the state, except section 43. Under section 43, especially the mental health establishment related to central government, those are cannot be registered under state authority, they will be registered under central authority. For this, actually in Telangana, what we did is, whatever the state mental health rules framed by the central government and passed on it, the same was adapted to fasten the process. So in that already given the for registration, we have to pay 20,000, that is through DD only. The same thing was kept for the registration in Telangana. But till we frame the rules for the establishments, till that time we have to do the provisional registration. That provisional registration is for 1 year only. So every time they have to get registration. So suppose he registered before 12 months, he did not pay for extra. Suppose he won't register within the stipulated time, he has to pay again 20,000 and get registered. Suppose he lost certificate, he want duplicate certificate, has to pay the 20,000 rupees and get the duplicate certificate. If get any complaints in the establishments also, they will be looking after that. And also they have to register not only mental health establishment, they have to mental health professionals. As per Act, we have to register all the mental health professionals like psychologists, mental health nurses and social workers. They have to register in the state mental health authority by paying the prescriber fee. And responsibilities, one more responsibility is train all relevant persons, including law enforcement officials like police people and lawyers, we have to train them, and also other mental health professionals, those involved in the caretakers of the mentally ill persons. Which has other functions with respect to matters related to mental health as state government may decide, provided that mental health establishment in the state registered before the commencement of the act, whatever the registrations present in the past also, they automatically they will be deemed to be registered, but only thing is they have to produce the certificate to the copy of the certificate to the state authority. And also procedure for registration they have to follow. State authority also they have to meet 4 times a year. Central authority they have to meet 2 times in a year, but here they have to meet 4 times a year. And chairperson is the person, he has to chair the meetings, and if he is not available, he can give the same job to any senior person. He will be the presiding over the authority. Any problem, anything is coming up, that should be decided by the majority votes. And chairperson or the presiding officer have a second or casting vote will be there. All the decisions of the state authority shall be authenticated with the signature of the chairperson. Whatever they do, again they have to submit to the chairperson, he has to sign and circulate it. If any member who is a director of company or anybody is a part of the non-ex officio member, if anything is there, suppose if any interest, he got interest in that thing, he should not involve in that, he has to keep away from that meeting. That is also very important. In Telangana, as in the beginning as said, we adopted SMHA rules and regulations found with the government of India under mental health care rules 2018. And also government issued a GO with all the ex officio members. The GO number, GO MS number 07 dated 1/2/2019. And also again proposal submitted by the CEO to the state government for the formation of the non-ex officio members, for inclusion of the non-ex officio members with the due process. What I told in the beginning, we have to give the advertisement and have to those whatever the applications come, that will be scrutinized by the committee. The committee will be headed by the chairperson. Two experts will be nominated by the state government in the mental health experts. Those will be screened and also placed in front of the chairperson, and then they will be nominated. These are the norms for selection of the non-official members. He should be Indian national, age not exceeding 70 years. So at the time of selection, he should not exceed 67 years. If it is crossing 67 years, he cannot be included. And also required qualification and experience should be there, like 15 years, and also qualified person in that social worker or whatever the things are there, no, he should qualified. And terms of office of these non-ex officio members will be 3 years. Suppose if age permits, is doing well, he can be reappointed. That also possibility is there. But whenever he is attending any meeting or any going for any auditing, all the things, they have to give the allowances and like TADA and sitting allowances they have to give. And also state government, Telangana state government appointed CEO based on appointed GO RT number 49 dated 1/2/2019. Initially, actually, CEO will be the cadre of deputy secretary cadre or equivalent cadre should be given. In most of the states in India, CEO is given to the psychiatrist only, especially the head of the department of the psychiatrist or the mental hospital superintendents are given. In Telangana, they given the website creation to the TCS, and that is in the process of creation. Almost it is ending. In that, all the activities, even applications, registrations, even paying of the fee, everything through the website only. They don't want to use any papers, what they told. This is a GO given for the first time ex officio members. Principal Secretary is the chairperson, and Secretary from the Women and Child Welfare Department, member ex officio, and the Scheduled Caste Development Department, ex officio, Home Department, Finance Department, and Commissioner of Health and Family Affairs, and Director of Medical Education, Commissioner Disability Welfare. The Superintendent Government Hospital is the member, and also we included one more member, Member Secretary, State Legal Service Authority. This is especially mainly involved with the legal matter. So we thought a legal person, if it is there, that may be useful, and also helping the guiding of this state authority. That's what they included, Member Secretary of the State Legal Authority. And this is a GO for the CEO. This is a GO RT number 49. Telangana State Mental Authority office is situated at present in the Institute of Mental Health under Superintendent of the Superintendent as a Chief Executive Officer. Mental Health Review Board formation and manpower vocational is also in the process. We already submitted along with the proposal for the expenditure also. Initially, they thought after bifurcation of the Andhra Pradesh state, there are 10 districts in Telangana. So again now it is become 33, but they thought that 10 districts, 10 MHR base, mental health review boards is ideal. In that way they decided, and also they sent the proposals. Most probably in finance department they have to approve the finances. These are the budget proposals we sent, approximately 5 crores for all the state as well as the MHR base. Website creation for 1 lakh, 60,000 for the maintenance. SMH office staff will be, CEO will be there, and administrative officer, it will be regular or on deputation. Regular on deputation. Usually cannot create post there, so that is what a regular person on deputation will be there. Otherwise, if it is not possible, contractual, approximately 25,000 and contract person. Assistant AO also 18,000, DEO 15,000, office by 10,000. These are the things we proposed for office at SMH. And MHR base. Usually we propose the place in districts. Most of the DMHO office, district medical and health officers, the place is little bit good place. They can have a place for communication, sitting, everything is easily accommodated. That's what we asked the DMH office. If it is not possible, district hospitals or the medical college departments. And we wrote a letter to the registrar of the High Court. He was also accepted and sent a letter. But we wrote letter along with the salary to the finance department. Finance department, it is pending with the finance department. They have to accept. Once they accept it, we can take up that. And also a representative of the district collector will be there. And the psychiatrist, who is a retired person, he can for 50,000, medical practitioner 50,000, and 2 members will be there. So along with this, office will consist of senior assistant, 1 DEO, 1 office boy. This is the state authority shall, for the purpose of conducting audit of registered mental health in the state, authorize 1 or more of the following. Representative of district collector or district commissioner of the these people will be nominated. One of the person will be and auditing that 1 or 2 persons maybe go for auditing, but auditing of the mental health establishment they have to give the prescribed fee. Last audit, inspection, and inquiry of state authority may suo motu on complaint received by the any person. Either they themselves or on complaint basis they can go and inspect the mental health assessment, and if it is non-adherence of minimum standards or anything, they can be these persons, same persons will be inspecting, and they have to submit the report to the chairperson within 2 days of inspection in written, and chairperson will be taking the necessary actions according to this. Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Jayaprakashan, CEO of Kerala State, to present his about Kerala State.
Thank you for organizers of South Zone conference for giving us this opportunity to communicate with other states about what is happening in the field of Mental Health Care Act. As all of you know, the Act came into existence. It was passed by the both the bodies of Parliament and Rajya Sabha by April 7th, 2017, and the President gave assent on the same day. So it was supposed to came into effect after 9 months, but it came into effect on 29th May 2018, few months ahead of the scheduled time, as per the government notification. And rules came into effect, and Dr. Chandrasekhar detailed about the rules. Instead of one rule, there are 3 rules, 3 sets of rules. And the state rules are made by the center for the first time. States can amend and produce their own rules only later. So the first rules for the states are made by the center. So the rule has 3 parts: state mental health authority rules, rights of persons with mental illness rules, and also central mental health authority and mental health review board rules. This all came into effect by the same date on which the Mental Health Care Act came into effect. And all the states are at different pace, and we are at different stages of implementing the Act. Just like we had here, it will be very fruitful if the IPS national body can include all those who are involved in the process and learn from each other, because we need not reinvent the wheel. Somebody in some state made a minimum standard for the mental health establishments. We can learn from that and adapt it to our own state. And similarly, the other situation, like the expenses for the mental health review board, we can copy the budget and adapt to our own state. So we will not work again on the same topic. So it's a very good opportunity for us who are involved in the process of managing the implementation of the Mental Health Care Act. So first, coming to the Mental Health Authority, I shall describe what is happening in the state of Kerala. So we had a Mental Health Authority and office staff and a secretary to the State Mental Health Authority. It was part-time and was supposed to be always a psychiatrist. So I was the Secretary of Kerala State Mental Health Authority while this act was passed. By the clause of repeal and saving, the last clause of the Mental Health Care Act, whoever is continuing in the office shall continue in the respective post. So I became the CEO in charge of the State Mental Health Authority. And the authority, the act comes into effect after a few months of passing it. So there is a gap. When I took charge, there was no enough members to fulfill the quorum. Just the minimum number of 8 people need to be there to fulfill the quorum. So at that time there were 8 people. So someone, especially the ex officio members, when they got transferred, a fresh appointment should be made, otherwise the quorum will not be complete. So I could manage to conduct only one meeting of the State Mental Health Authority. That was before the act came into effect. After the act came into effect, then the old Act, Mental Health Act 1987 is not there, it's repealed. So only act or law of the land is Mental Health Care Act 2017. So everything should happen after the particular date of coming into effectiveness, that is 29th May. Everything should happen only according to Mental Health Care Act. So in effect there was no Mental Health Authority when the Mental Health Care Act came into effect, because there was no enough members to complete the quorum. So the state government formed a skeleton authority with the chairman and 2 ex officio members. Later it expanded with including all the ex officio members. For the postgraduates, ex officio members are members of the authority who are the members because of their position they are holding in the government. So somebody is the Director of Social Justice, then he will be the member. That is ex officio member. There are other members known as nominated members or non-official members. These members are nominated from different categories. So to start with, government nominated ex officio members. For nomination of non-official members, that is representative of the NGOs, patient representatives, caregiver representatives, all those categories, government should make a selection committee. Just like my previous speaker pointed out, a selection committee was made, and the applications were invited by public notification. The applications were scrutinized and selection committee submit the selected list to the government. In Kerala, what happened was there was a great flood, unprecedented event, very severe flood in 2018, and following which, once these effects were over, then came the COVID. So it was very difficult to work with the government. The priorities were totally different, and always this formation of these bodies according to the government and political leadership can wait. So it was prolonged. But in between, the Kerala State Legal Service Society filed a writ petition in the High Court. So the list of non-official members were resting with the government. While the writ petition came, government had to do something, and so they looked into the proposal and it was approved. So we got all the non-official members and official members except two. Two, there were no application. That is one is the Ayush member, like Homeo or Ayurveda, from Homeo or Ayurveda, who should be a mental health professional. That was not there. And also either a mental health center superintendent or head of the department of psychiatry. The problem with this position is, it is not in the rule, it is in the act. So we are confused whether to call for the application for that post or not. But the High Court intervened, as I said, it's in the act, so you should appoint such a person. So we called application for that post also, selected the two persons, and again the file is resting with the government. So we have a mental health authority now, except these two members. Again the selection process is over, only appointment is pending. And this new mental health authority, before appointment of the non-official members, had one meeting. This is the only meeting of the mental health authority which we had after the act, and took few decisions like number of mental health review boards in the state. The number of mental health review boards in the state should be decided by the mental health authority in consultation with the government. We have 14 districts, so minimum number is 5. 3 districts should have at least one mental health review board. So we decided there will be 5 mental health review boards, and the applications were called for. We didn't receive applications for full applications for 2 review boards. That's in the northern 2 regions, like first 3 districts in the northern region. The MHRB was supposed to be at Kannur, and the next 3 districts it was supposed to be at Calicut. For both these, we didn't receive all the all the applications, so the applications is called for those posts. Again, the selection process is not over, it's pending with the mental health authority. Which one of the issues which came up in Kerala is the post of Chief Executive Officer. See, what happened is, Chief Executive Officer, as per the Act, Section 52(1) of Mental Health Care Act, should be an officer not below the rank of the Deputy Secretary to the government. A Deputy Secretary in Secretariat, a post of Deputy Secretary in Secretariat is like a professor post in Department of Psychiatry. If there is one more professor post, one more person can become professor, another person will become associate professor, and a proportionate number of assistant professors can be appointed. So, this is something which I think happened in every state. The officers in the Secretariat, they target this post. This is a Deputy Secretary post. One more post means one more promotion, more pension, more salary, more promotions. So this also happened in our government. And proposal, on my instance as CEO in charge, proposal to create a post of the deputy, the CEO in the rank of Deputy Secretary was pushed. It reached the government, the Council of Ministers, and the proposal was approved. The proposal approved was to create a post of CEO in the rank of Deputy Secretary to the government in Mental Health Authority. But when the government order came, there was an addition. They put a comma and wrote Administrative Secretariat. That means the post will go to an officer in the administrative wing of the Secretariat. Immediately, the next week, they promoted and appointed a person to that post. Very crucial time, that was after the elections were declared and all the ministers vacated their office and they were contesting in the assembly, and the offices of the ministers were empty. So this is the time when the function of the government goes totally with the bureaucrats. Once the election is declared and all the politicians empty their offices, the total governance comes to the bureaucrats. At that time this happened, so, but I pointed out that this is not in line with Mental Health Care Act, because Section 52(1) says the CEO will be of the rank of Deputy Secretary to the government. But Section 52(3) says the Deputy Secretary, the CEO and other officers, the qualification, experience, mode of appointment, salaries and allowances and other conditions of service of the CEO should be as per regulations of the Mental Health Authority. Mental Health Authority has the power to decide the number of officers and other details of the Mental Health Authority's CEO and other employees. And to make the story short, I didn't give the charge for around 2 months. Finally, government relieved me. As a government servant, once the order is issued, I just relieved. But the members of the Mental Health Authority filed a writ petition in the High Court, and still it is pending with the High Court, and prolonged process because of the COVID. And it is posted for I think 10th of next month for the final hearing. So come to other issues like Mental Health Authority fund, no fund were allotted for the review board, or Mental Health Authority fund was not created. Mental Health establishment, we have started provisional registration again with in par with Andhra Pradesh. 20,000 is the registration, temporary registration charge. Permanent registration not yet started because basics minimum standards are not prescribed. There are other issues with implementation of Mental Health Care Act, like implementing ensuring the rights of persons with mental illness, like avoiding seclusion, cell rooms, and their right to have their assert their rights, like the challenge the decision of the psychiatrist to for compulsory treatment. So there are many questions regarding the actual implementation of Mental Health Care Act. Who should be the CEO? Whether it should be a psychiatrist, as many other states chosen to be, or should be an administrative post and psychiatrist taking an advisor post or technical post. What should be the minimum standards? Where to place the hurdle? Whether it should keep the standards high or low? Which is the optimum level of minimum standards? And how to overcome the inertia of the government, how to overcome the red tape, which all obstructing the implementation of the Mental Health Care Act. I think we shall discuss further on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jayaprakashan. Now I request Dr. Maliyappan, CEO of the Tamil Nadu state, to make his presentation.
Good afternoon. I thank the organizers of this conference, IPSOCON, for giving me this opportunity to talk on the challenges in the implementation of Mental Health Care Act 2017. And I thank the chairperson of the session, Professor B.D. Krishnaram, the coordinator, Dr. Chandrasekhar, and my co-speakers, Dr. Jayaprakashan and Dr. Uma Shankar, and dear friends. In the state of Tamil Nadu, the State Mental Health Authority has been created. All the official, ex officio and non-official members have been appointed. And it is functioning. We have 4 or 5 meetings we have conducted in the last 2-3 years. Almost now it has become 2 years and 8 months over after the appointment. So in another 4 months, the term for the State Mental Health Authority will be over, and we have to go for a fresh recruitment of non-official members. 3 years State Mental Health Authority is functioning. 2 years and 7-8 months the State Mental Health Authority is functioning in the state of Tamil Nadu. See, the same thing, these are all the members, ex officio members of the SMHA Tamil Nadu. Principal Secretary as a chairman, Joint Secretary Health and Family Welfare is a member ex officio, Director of Medical Education, Joint Secretary to Government Social Welfare and Nutritious Meal Program Departments ex officio, DMS is an ex officio member, Director for Welfare of Differently Abled Chepak Chennai is an ex officio member, Managing Director Tamil Nadu Corporation for Development of Women Limited is an ex officio member, State Nodal Officer DMHP is an ex officio member, Director IMH is an ex officio member, one head of the department from Department of Psychiatry, Government Medical College is a member, Professor of Psychiatry, Stanley Medical College has been appointed for this post 2 years 8 months ago. Eminent psychiatrist, retired professor has been appointed. Mental health professional as defined under Ayush Care also has been appointed. Clinical psychologist appointed. Mental health nurse has been appointed. All the members have been appointed in the state of Tamil Nadu. Persons representing persons who have had mental illness also been appointed. Persons representing caregivers or persons with mental illness or members organizations representing caregivers also have been appointed. The SMHA is full, and it has met 3-4 times, and it is yet to meet this year. Because of the COVID, we have not made the meeting in this year, and we will be making the meeting shortly in a month or so. The MHRB also has been, we have advertised in the paper, we have received applications. 13 mental health review board has been sanctioned by the government. Funds have been sanctioned and allotted around 5 crore per annum. We have received the funds. State Mental Health Authority fund has been created, and the MHRB, each MHRB consists of a retired district judge as a chairperson of Mental Health Review Board, 1 member as a psychiatrist, 1 medical practitioner, and 2 more members with the NGOs of the mental health or unimproved patients, a person with mental illness. This medical practitioner post, by due to some administrative reason, has not been filled up in the 13 mental health review board. This 13 medical practitioner post is remaining vacant, and the psychiatrist post is remaining vacant in three districts, in Salem, in Chengalpattu, and in Karur. These 3 districts, the psychiatrist post also remaining vacant. All the other posts have been filled up. So 13 medical practitioners and 3 psychiatrists have yet to be appointed. We have appointed some persons, but they have resigned. 13 districts, the following locations, the 13 boards are functioning now. Chennai, including Chennai and Tiruvallur in IMH Chennai as office. Chengalpattu, it including Kanjipuram, Thiruvannamalai and Chengalpattu, in Chengalpattu Medical College, Chengalpattu. Vellore, Tirupattur and Ranipeta districts covering, located in Vellore Medical College, Vellore. Viluppuram, including Kadalur, Viluppuram and Kallakurichi districts, located at Viluppuram Medical College, Viluppuram. Erode, covering Erode and Namakkal districts, it is located at Erode Headquarters Hospital. Tiruchirappalli, covering Trichy, Ariyalur and Perambalur districts, located at KP Vishwanatham Government Medical College campus, Trichy. Ramanathapuram, it covers Pudukkottai, Sivagangai and Ramanathapuram districts. District differently abled welfare office, collector office complex at Ramanathapuram. Tirunelveli, including Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi, Tenkasi and Kanyakumari, located at Tirunelveli Medical College, Tirunelveli. Coimbatore, Tirupur, Nilagiri is located at Government Coimbatore Medical College Hospital, Coimbatore. Tanjavur, including Tanjavur, Nagapattinam, Thiruvarur and Mailadure districts, located at Tanjavur Medical College, Tanjavur. Madurai, including Madurai, Virudhunagar and Theni, located at Madurai Medical College, Madurai. The problem we are facing is, except 4 or 5 places like Tanjavur Medical College, Tirunelveli Medical College, Ramanathapuram at Collector Office, Karur, Chennai, Chengalpattu, in other places the space given by the medical college or the district DMS office or district deputy director of health services office, we have requested either the dean or the DDHS, deputy director of health services, to provide space for the MHRB, but only in these 4 or 5 places sufficient space has been given. The other districts very small space is given or not yet given. So we, for the last 1 or 1.5 years, we have been repeatedly writing letters to the dean and or the collector requesting for providing adequate space, a reasonable and decent space for functioning of the MHRB. The MHRB has been sanctioned office staff also, 2 data entry operators and 1 office assistant. We have initiated the process of recruiting these 2 data entry operators and 1 office assistant on a contract basis, and shortly they will be appointed through district health societies. We are not going to make the appointment from the central part. We have asked each district health society to recruit 2 data entry operators and 1 office assistant locally and appoint them on contract basis for MHRB. Honorarium to chairpersons and members. At present, the retired district judge is getting rupees 1 lakh per annum as a honorarium, rupees 50,000 paid to members. At present, rupees 50,000 paid to member psychiatrist and medical practitioner if they are retired government servants, rupees 2,000 to member psychiatrist and medical practitioner serving government servants per month, rupees 1,000 plus sitting allowance and travelling allowance to member psychiatrist if he is a private psychiatrist. Same applicable to member medical practitioner. If he is a retired government servant, he will be getting 50,000 per month. If he is a sitting government servant, he will be getting rupees 2,000 per month as allowance. And if he is a private medical practitioner, he will be getting rupees 1,000 plus sitting and travelling allowance. Representative of collector paid only TA, rupees 1,000 paid as sitting allowance plus TA to persons appointed from the category of persons with mental illness or caregiver or NGO. This allotment of honorarium, there is a grievance from the sitting government servant psychiatrist and also the private psychiatrist. They want the honorarium at par with the retired government servants. We have requested the government, we have submitted a proposal to the government for making the honorarium of the sitting government servants and the private psychiatrists and medical practitioners to be in par with that of the retired government servants. Somehow this discrepancy has crept in, and we are trying to rectify the discrepancy in the allowances given for the same position. Provisional registration for mental health establishments. We have started. The registration of mental health establishments are being done by getting proper application and supporting documents. So far, 263 homes, hospitals have been registered under Mental Health Care Act in the state of Tamil Nadu. Psychiatric hospital, psychiatric nursing home, 36 have been registered till today. De-addiction cum rehabilitation centers, 203. Private medical college hospitals, 10. Government medical college hospitals, 12. District mental health program, 2. So every day we are getting 3 or 4 applications, and we are the registration process is going on. And the problems we are facing in the registration is, in the beginning we used to get one psychiatrist working in 7 or 8 homes. We said a psychiatrist can work in a 4 hospital on a part-time basis, not more than 4. Nowadays we have enough number of psychiatrists. One psychiatrist, we approve them for a maximum of 4 hospitals or homes on a part-time basis. And mostly they don't appoint qualified person with a diploma in nursing or a BSc nursing. They appoint ANMs and ask for, and they claim as a nurse in a psychiatric hospital. Another major problem is many of the hospitals, nearly 50% of the hospitals, the building plan was not approved by the local authority. The land is approved land, but the building is not approved. They have built and they are paying the property tax. These are some of the legal hurdles as a registration authority we are facing. Sometimes there is a dispute between the owner and the hospital administrators. The owner is coming and tell why you have registered. I have told him there is a court case going on between the owner and the hospital administrator. The hospital administrator has applied for registration and we have registered. After that, that owner came and contesting that hospital should not be given registration. So these are all the implementation difficulties we are facing in the registration. We are giving provisional registration only. The regulations are in the final stage, and in another 1 or 2 months, the regulations for different categories of mental health establishments will get notified. Once that is notified, we have to go for permanent registration according to the regulations. The provisional registration currently is being done without any fees. We are just receiving the application and supporting documents, and we are registering the mental health establishment. Once the regulations are notified, we have fixed the fees as 20,000 for a mental health establishment for a permanent registration. That will be published that will be notified in the government gazette. Once the regulations are notified, we will go for permanent registrations. And in the regulations, we have proposed a full-time psychiatrist for an acute care hospital, a part-time psychiatrist for a long-stay hospital and a halfway home, a full-time doctor for an acute care hospital, acute care psychiatric hospital and acute de-addiction center, whereas a doctor should be there every day for a halfway home or a long-stay de-addiction center or a long-stay psychiatric hospital. Otherwise, the space, what are beds, the distance between the beds, floor space, number of toilets, number of staff, there is not much of difference between different mental health establishments. The only thing will be the number of psychiatrists, either part-time or full-time, doctor, whether it is a part-time or full-time, that will be the only difference between an acute care hospital and a halfway home or a long-stay home. And the CEO post has been sanctioned, and the DME and DMS has sent circulars to the serving government servant psychiatrist to give willingness for the post of CEO, and we have received few applications from the DMS side. Once the government scrutinizes the applications, it will appoint a permanent, exclusively a CEO will be appointed. Now I am holding the post as an additional charge in addition to my teaching post. So once a full-time CEO is appointed, I think it will be better for the implementation of the Mental Health Care Act. Registration of mental health professionals, we have registered clinical psychologists, mental health nurses and psychiatric social worker. So far, 153 mental health professionals have been registered. MPhil clinical psychology, we have registered 70 candidates. Mental health nurses, 52. MPhil psychiatric social worker is 31. Here again, we have a grievance from those who are not having the adequate qualification, but who are all practicing in the various psychiatric hospitals and home. They may not be having MPhil clinical psychology, but they have MSc applied psychology, so many MSc counseling psychology, MSc psychology, and they are working in psychiatric hospital as psychologists, de-addiction center as counselors. So they are all asking for some form of exemption so that they can continue their job as psychologists in various psychiatric hospital. And we have appointed a committee of various professionals to go into the matter and to see what has to be done. Whether we have to be very strict on the MPhil clinical psychology, mental health nurses, MPhil psychiatric social worker, or we can have some relaxation. So we have not yet decided on that. And it's all about the current status of SMHA and MHRB in the state of Tamil Nadu. This is in the next few minutes I will quickly go through the functions of the Mental Health Review Board. Advance directive online registered must be maintained. Professionals, relatives can apply to the board to modify the advance directive. Advance that the board can modify, and if it has to go through whether the person was sufficiently well informed and has a capacity to make decisions, and if the board thinks that it can modify the advance directive. Nominated representative, who should be the nominated representative? If no such person is available to be appointed as a nominated representative, the board shall appoint the Director, Department of Social Welfare or his designated representative as a nominated representative of the person with mental illness. A suitable person can be appointed by the concerned board. If a caregiver or relative is not available or not willing or not eligible, any suitable person can be appointed as a nominated representative by the concerned board. When caregiver not available, board can change the nominated representative on application. Quickly going to the functions of the MHRB. The person working with persons with mental illness from a registered society may temporarily be engaged by the mental health professionals to discharge the duties of a nominated representative pending appointment of a nominated representative by the concerned board. If you are receiving a person and admitting under section 89 or 90, you have to, if you don't have a nominated representative, family member or a caregiver, then you have to request or you have to make temporarily some arrangements and get a mental health professional to discharge the duties of a nominated representative pending appointment of a nominated representative by the concerned board from a registered society. In case of minors, the legal guardian shall be the nominated representative unless the concerned boards orders otherwise. The nominated representative, we can apply to the board to change the nominated representative. Nominated representative can apply to the board for discharge for supported admission, can apply for any violation of rights. Persons with mental illness has the right to make an application to the concerned board for a review of admission. Any person with mental illness or his nominated representative have the right to complain regarding deficiencies in provision of care and treatments. First to the medical officer of the in charge of the establishment, if not satisfied, the concerned board, if not satisfied, to the state authority. Any person with mental illness or his nominated representative or a representative of a registered non-governmental organization with the consent of such a person being agreed by the decision of any mental health establishment or whose rights under this act has been violated may make an application to the board seeking redressal or appropriate relief. Proceedings of the board, supported admissions under section 89 may be reviewed, but section 90 must be reviewed and approved by the board is mandatory. The proceedings of the board should be held in camera. Under section 89, it should be that you have to inform the board within 3 days. Under section 90, you have to inform the board within 7 days. and the board has to approve the admission within 21 days. Within 3 days, admission of a minor under section 89. Within 7 days, admission of any person not being a woman or minor. Within 7 days of receipt of request for such board, which shall be binding on all the concerned parties. Section 99, you have to inform within 7 days, and within 21 days, a board has to come and see the patient and approve the admission. Proceedings of the board shall be held in camera. Okay. Okay. Prior permission from the board is necessary for giving electroconvulsive therapy to minors. Approval from the concerned board to perform surgery for psychiatric reasons must be obtained. Some of the mental health review board in Tiruvannamalai districts have received application from a psychiatric hospital for giving electroconvulsive therapy for a 17-year-old girl, for a 16-year-old boy, and they have seen, the board has seen the patient and given approval for giving electroconvulsive therapy for adolescents below 18. And in Coimbatore districts, applications have been received for admissions under section 89 and 90. In many districts, till now, the admissions are not made under section 89 and 90. Even though the act is implemented, the MHRB is functioning at a skeletal level. The supported admission under section 89 and section 90 are not fully being implemented, I would say. In the near future, once the board becomes fully functional with an office, with an address, with the communication, with the contact details, with support staff, the section 89 and section 90 will come to practice more as what expected from the Mental Health Care Act 2017. Till today, it is beginning. The child has born and started to crawl, and I hope it will walk and have a healthy existence. The chairperson and other members of the officers and other employees of the authority and board shall be deemed to be public servants within the meaning of section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. And this is the current status and challenges we are facing in implementation of the Mental Health Care Act 2017. Thank you. Thank you for your listen.
Thank you very much. Now I open the topic for comments, questions from the audience. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mahesh. I'm a psychiatrist from Trichy. I run a hospital called Aram Psychiatric Hospital. A year ago, I registered our hospital in a mental health under the State Mental Health Act 2017. That is when I came to know that there is a Mental Health Act in place and it's started to function. So one thing is the Act came 4 years ago and we are still in the process of recruiting people for mental health authorities and district mental health authorities and review boards. And this shows how the bureaucracies can delay the process of implementation of Mental Health Act. And if we try to understand the real principles of the Mental Health Act that is been come into act, we need to say that it is for the rights of the people, rights of the patients. And by delaying the process of implementation, we need to admit and feel sorry for ourselves that we have not done justice to our patients who are suffering. We need to know how they are suffering. Although the law is there to protect them, because of lack of implementations and delay in implementations, and they do not know that they are trapped in hospitals or long-term setups, although sometimes they don't want to stay in the units. So in a way, they are held against their wish in a place they don't want to stay. So and sometimes as a psychiatrist, we are in a dilemma whether to treat them against their wish or not. And we take our rights to ourselves to decide what is best for the patient. And there is no legal guidelines or suggestion to us what we need to do. So my question is, like practitioners and hospitals, we are not legal experts. And sometimes we do not know what is happening at a state level in terms of implementations. So we need more discussions and at the grassroots level. So if we see how this law is being implemented is Dr. Vikram Patel. He was a professor in tropical medicine in UK. He was appointed by Dr. Manmohan Singh, then Prime Minister, who invited Vikram Patel and asked us to implement this law.
Sir, can you be slightly brief?
Yeah. So the point I am trying to make here is this law has come from top, and we need to understand the principles and importance of this law and make sure that everyone who is in the practice is able to simply understand what is going on and able to approach the mental health authorities in an easy, simple way for the best of the patients. Yeah. So how we are going to engage us in this process, which is not happening.
The Mental Health Review Board in Tiruchirappalli is functioning, and it has a contact address, and whenever you have a patient to be admitted under Section 89, you please inform the board. And when you want to admit them under Section 19, you inform the board, and that is a duty of the board to come to your hospital and see and give the approval of the admission or otherwise. So MHRB is functioning in Trichy. All members are there. Retired chairperson, retired judge is there, except medical practitioner. A psychiatrist is there, representative of the collector is there, persons with mental illness, and also caregivers. All the 5 members are there, and at least 3 of them will be coming to your hospital, and they will be discharging the duties of the MHRB. So it is implemented in the state of Tamil Nadu now, and you can contact them by email or by post. MHRB is located currently in the Tiruchirappalli Medical College Hospital, for your kind information.
Yes, sir. Please.
I'm Dr. Jayaprakash from Erode. That was nice of the organizers to have given time for such a session. I have a comment or an observation. Dr. Malayapan knows that our district has the District Mental Health Review Board. Despite all these teething problems that the implementation has, one problem I see as a significant challenge in the coming years is that the District Review Board is headed by a chairman who is a retired district judge. By nature, from what I have experienced and discussed with my friends in other districts, district judges come from a judicial process which is a little adversarial by nature, whereas we doctors come from a collaborative background. This conflict of attitude is quite unnerving, so much so that when the District Mental Health Board was formed and they went inspecting all these establishments, many of the, especially the psychiatrists of the government setups, were heavily charged by the chairman of the District Review Board, saying that they've not done their duties properly. Of course, we know our brothers in the government services are tied down very tightly with the red tape. So when the district judge came down heavily on them, they did not know how to respond, because the judge says the onus of responsibility resides with the district mental health officer or the project officer of the district mental health program. Or the head of the department of the medical college. And we all know that they are tied down by all the various hierarchy and bureaucracy. So my recommendation here is, I think whichever state implements, including Kerala in future, should have a process whereby these judges, I don't believe that the judges should be there as a chairperson. First of all, I think it should be from the medical fraternity to be chairing such a body. But because this is a right-based act, as my previous commentator said, they've appointed a judicial person. This conflict should in some way be addressed before they're being appointed. I think these judges, these 13 judges we have right now, should undergo rigorous training and possibly internship too in mental health establishments to understand all the nitty-gritties and the ethical nuances that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, the conflict in our district was so much so that I had to organize a meeting between all the psychiatrists and the district mental health review board in an official capacity, and sort of explain to the district review board chairman about why the things are not happening the way he wants it. So I think training these people, as long as they're going to be the chairmen, is very, very critical. And I think as medical professionals, we should also fight for a better say in that we should have medical people as the district review board chairmen. I would like Dr. Malappan's comments on it.
Only comment is, it's mandated in the act that all DMH, district mental review boards, should undergo training in the implementation of that. I think it's mandated. It's natural. I think Malappan should, comments, any comments?
Just comments. See, the point is well stated by this Dr. Chandrasekhar, but the spirit of the act is, see, district review board has only one psychiatrist. All others are non-psychiatrists, and one medical practitioner. All others are non-professionals, non-health professionals. See, the spirit is, you may be doing what is scientific according to you. It's not enough. We, the people, the others, want to know what you are doing. You should convince us, the non-professionals, that what you are doing is right. It's your obligation. We will look into this because you are violating rights of another person. This is the spirit of the Mental Health Care Act. So, that is why the chairman is a judge. And secondly, the chairman does not have voting power. He has only casting vote. So, many times what happens is, the others forget their powers. When the judge is there, they think whatever he talks is judgment. No. He is only a chairperson who has a casting vote. Others should talk, others should take their responsibility, others should put their points so that, and they vote. And when there is a tie, only then the chairman can vote. So if the Mental Health Care Act is implemented in its spirit, in letter and spirit, this problem will not be there. And definitely there should be a training for the judges. That's what I think. And secondly, as far as I am concerned, in our state, Mental Health Review Board is not there. But that's not the concern of the people, that's not the concern of the mental health professional. They have to do their duty. There is a section under which they can admit as independent patient. There is a section under which they can admit supported patient. There is forms published. They should use those forms. They should admit as an independent patient. Independent patient should have his rights. He should be discharged when he requests to. If he is not fit for discharge, he should be admitted as a supported patient. Supported patient, there is no place for where he can complain. That's not our fault. As psychiatrists, it's not our fault that there is no mental health review board. We can always tell we have done our what is within our capacity to observe the act. So things should be in record. If the things are done proper, if the records are kept properly, no mental health review board can question us. There should be a notice board in which the address of the mental health review board is exhibited. The patient should be free to communicate to the mental health review board. If it is there, and if judge comes and see that there is everything in place, everything is as per record, so we are safe. The thing is, we overlook, we don't do these things which is well within our capacity. That's what I feel.
One more point. Fortunately, in the 13th Mental Health Review Board functioning in the state of Tamil Nadu, we have not received any conflicts between the board and the mental health establishment so far. Maybe I have not received any letter or any ideas from persons administering the mental health establishments that the board is interfering with the function of the hospital, or the board is a hurdle to the care of the mentally ill. So far, all the mental health review board are very cordial. They are discharging their duties efficiently. I don't think they will be a problem in the services or in the care of the mentally ill. They are very understanding. They don't, so far till date, they have not refused any admissions under supported admission, section 89. And they have not rejected any modified ECT for minors till today. But this may change in the future. But as a psychiatrist, we have to adapt to the Mental Health Care Act 2017, the Mental Health Board review, that is a quasi-judicial review, non-doctors, non-psychiatrist review, that has to be accepted by the psychiatrist and adapt ourselves, modify our practice so that we will be able to live with them. Because all over the world, supported admissions are periodically reviewed by an external body consisting of revenue or judicial or commissioners, non-medical people. So it is a trend in the world. World is moving towards human rights, and quasi-judicial review is practiced in most of the developed countries and developing countries. So we cannot go back in the history. We have to upgrade and adapt ourselves to the quasi-judicial review of mental health establishments and the care of the mentally ill. That is my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sir, be brief, sir. We are already running.
Two follow-up questions. Is the training going to happen?
We have given an orientation program to all the 13 judges, retired judges. We have introduced them about the Mental Health Care Act, its spirits, and what for this Mental Health Review Board and what is its functions, and what is expected from them, the society or the law expects from them. That has been already, the orientation program has been conducted to all the 13 chairpersons. But medical practitioners, psychiatrists, other persons with mental illness, we have to give training.
Fine, sir. Now, we are ready with the forms, but the district review board does not have an office and it is not accepting the forms. What should I do?
You can send, they have to accept your form. It is functioning and you have to send an email, and you have to, if you are going to admit under section 89 or anything, you inform them through the email. It becomes onus of the board to come and see you and come and give the approval.
Fine, sir. Where does general hospital admission stay right now?
Any hospital admission, anywhere, if it is against the will of the person, if the person refuses admission and on psychiatric grounds you are admitting, he will be admitted under section 89, including general hospitals.
Independent admission in general hospitals?
Independent admission, anywhere you need not inform.
No, we don't have to inform, sir. Do we have to take a license for independent admission in
If
general
you are
hospital?
admitting a psychiatric patient in a general hospital, that has to be registered.
It is taken as a mental health establishment?
Yes, yes.
Even if we are just admitting inside a functioning general hospital?
Yes. Even medical college hospitals, private, government, district headquarters hospital, admitting, having a psychiatric ward, hospitals like Apollo Hospital, Vijaya Hospital, or any hospital has to get a registration under Mental Health Care Act 2017 for admitting mentally ill patients, even independent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for comments and
I
questions.
think there is one amendment that if the hospital is registered under Clinical Establishments Act, then they need not take a separate, they have to just apply and they will get a registration. Yeah, they have to produce the copy. And at present, it's very easy. You give an application within 10 days, no? Within 10 days, the application, the registration should be given. Otherwise, it is deemed to be given. So you are not at fault. If you give an application, 10 days passed, that means you have the registration. That's not a problem now. Very, very friendly clause.
My opinion is we need not see the registration process and the MHRB as a hurdle or as a, what to say, as something which is a block. Let it be. You practice in a ethical and effective way, and this registration process and MHRB will not come in the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, sir.
Very one of the regulations, the guidelines that you mentioned about qualified allied staffs like MPhil MSWs and MPhil in clinical psychologists, and in the current under-resourced situation, is it possible to get the qualified clinical psychologist for every hospital, sir? And also
in the regulations yet to publish, yet to gazetted, we have given an exemption that if qualified clinical psychologist, qualified mental health nurse, qualified psychiatric social worker is not available, then a person who is qualified in other areas like applied psychology or equivalent courses, who is trained in mental health, can be appointed as a clinical psychologist. We have given a exemption, and mostly we will give that exemption. We will not insist that there should be in the state of Tamil Nadu, I don't know about Kerala or Andhra or Karnataka, but in the state of Tamil Nadu, a person who is not qualified as per the Act, but has some other qualification and training in mental health will be considered as a trained psychologist, trained social worker, trained mental health nurse, and will be eligible for appointment and working in a mental health establishment, and that will be sufficient for registration process.
Yeah, yes.
Can I add? See, this is a question which will come into discussion in various places, and this is a practical issue also. So what I think is, this is my understanding while after discussing with many people, what Mental Health Act says is, it defines who is a clinical psychologist, it defines who is a psychiatric social worker. And these two people are among the list of mental health professionals. They have certain rights, like if you are admitting a patient under a supported admission, a psychiatrist and a mental health professional is okay, or a psychiatrist and a medical practitioner. So they have some roles. That does not mean a trained psychologist should see a patient. It's not nowhere restricted in the Mental Health Care Act that a trained psychologist, no one other than these mental health professionals should see or help the patient. A counselor can help, but it's not defined. It's not a counselor or a psychologist who is trained or is not prevented from helping the patient as per the Act if you go strictly. So, what I think or what I do in receiving the, registering the mental health establishment, temporary registration is, I just look at the institution and see whether there is a mental health professional and a psychiatrist, or a mental health professional and a medical officer. If these two people are there, they can admit a patient under supported admission as per the Act. Whoever is there or not is not my problem.
Yes.
So a person can act as a mental health professional if they have either of these qualifications, or it should be a mental health nurse. These are the mental health professionals. So whoever else can supplement, it's okay, well and good. We cannot name this person as a clinical psychologist, this person is a psychiatrist, social worker, because it's defined as per the law. But there can be psychologists. The law does not prevent does not say that any other psychologist should not be there, a trained psychologist or any other person. But that also can be, I think, included as the supporting staff in the minimum standards. Because law does not prohibit that. But they cannot be stated as, they cannot include, they will not come under the list of mental health professionals. They will not be clinical psychologists or psychiatrists or workers unless they have this particular specified qualification. I think others also should comment on the same thing.
Yes, sir. I think now I request chairman to make his final comments before we come.
All of you will agree that we had a good discussion, and now the best question award to Dr. Jayaprakash. I request moderator Chandrasenan to hand over this. I thank the organizers, and I thank the moderator and the three panelists who have made this session a lively one and gave us useful information. Thank you. Thank you all the audience for patience hearing. Thank you.
We thank you for the wonderful panel discussion. Now we request the chairperson, Dr. V.D. Krishnaram, to hand over the memento to Dr. M. Uma Shankar. And to Dr. M. Malayappan. And Dr. K.P. Jayaprakash. Now I welcome Dr. Rajaram to dignify the chairperson and the moderator.